And so we're going to continue moving forward. And what we're going to talk about and discuss now is kind of, related to the video you guys just watched, and that is technician recruitment and ASE Adopt-A-School initiative. And I'd like to bring up Jonathan Caligio. He's going to help me out in getting that started. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Jonathan, you ready?
Yep.
All right, enjoy.
Want to welcome two folks to the stage. Annette Sikora, who is the chair of the NADA Foundation. She's a dealer from West Texas, Ford dealer from West Texas. And Mike Coley, who is the president of the ASE Foundation.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks for flying 3,000 miles to come and see us this morning, Mike. So the ASE Adopt-A-School program, tell us about what that is, and kind of how the idea came up.
Absolutely. So we know that dealers are busy every day. You're fixing cars, you're selling cars, but clearly your fixed ops people are telling you we need technicians. You know this, there's a chip shortage, there's a car shortage. Have you heard there's a technician shortage? So we need more technicians in the industry. Where are we going to get those? Well, we'll hire some folks from down the street. Well, that works for a while, but eventually the shop down the street doesn't have any more technicians for you to take from. So what we want to promote is there's high schools, there's colleges in your community that you could be partnering with and bringing students into the industry, showing them what the career opportunities are, showing them what your shop looks like, putting them to work while they're still in school. And you say, wait a minute, I don't have time to figure that out. How do I do all that? So we created the Adopt-A-School Toolkit basically as a add water and stir sort of a solution for dealers. We show you all the different activities, give you a real easy step-by-step process to follow. It's 100% free, and you can figure out how much time and money you want to devote to it so you get started a little bit and then go as far and as fast as you like.
I love how you guys put that together, because previous it would be, go, talk to your community college, talk to your technical school, and then the conversation would kind of end. But this is like, no, now that you've decided that you're going to talk to the school, here are the 7 to 10 like concrete things. Talk about what they are.
So number one, we say, just get to know the instructors at the school, get to know the students at the school. But then beyond that, what are some of the simple things you can do? You can make a donation. So maybe you've got some used parts, some components, used engine blocks, transmissions, whatever, and the school needs some modern hardware for their students to take apart, put back together, work on. That's one thing. You could also donate supplies. You could buy T-shirts for the class, and hey, if it had your store's logo on the back, what would be wrong with that? So simple things, making a donation. One of the big things that we encourage, every program, every school has an advisory committee. Well, what is that? That's local employers, like local dealers, that come to the school 2 times a year. It's not a big time commitment, but they advise the school on, hey, what are you teaching? What equipment, what tools do you have to teach it? And is that the stuff that we need in our entry-level technicians? So it's that local accountability that makes sure that the school is keeping up so that the students coming out of that school, be it high school or college, actually have the skills that you need to bring them into your shop and that they can get going without missing a beat. But then beyond that, there's things you can do to go give a speech at Career Day. We did a survey last year of high school students, and we said, so either in person or virtually, how many of these organizations have come and presented to you? And the for-profit schools, they did real well. Their recruiters are out, right? The community colleges, they did pretty well. They're out talking to the high school students saying, hey, come to our program, continue your education. Only 27% of the students heard from a shop owner, a technician, a dealer. And we said only 27%. So they're not hearing about the career opportunities. And you think, well, so what? They're high school kids. They don't know what they want to do. Follow-up question in the same survey. We said, so you're taking automotive this year. How are you going to take it next year? And of the ones that said, no, I'm not taking it next year, we said, why? Why aren't you continuing with the automotive program? And the number 2 reason was, I have a conflict in my schedule. I've got to take some other class that's required to graduate, whatever. The number 1 reason, I don't see a career path in the automotive industry for me. How sad is that? These are students that are hand raisers. They've been in automotive. We have to show them those career paths. They don't see the path. They don't see, and understand, they're being schooled in automotive technology, but not 100% of them are going to turn wrenches, right? There's all these other opportunities. You can be in fixed ops, you could be a service writer, you could work the parts counter, warranty claims administration, every other position in your dealership. And that all starts with that fundamental knowledge of how cars work, right? And so we show them, here are all the different careers. Here are the folks that I've hired out of this school in the last couple of years. Here's where they started. Here's where they are now. Here's the money they're making. Now students begin to see that career path for themselves.
Annette Sikora, you're of course chair of the NADA Foundation. You're also a dealer from West Texas. Is it easy to find and recruit technicians in Texas these days?
That's the constant, right? We all have. If I ask you to raise your hands, how many of you are hiring technicians right now?
Everybody's hiring technicians.
Every one of us. And it is a dynamic career. And so this is a great way for us as a foundation to partner with ASE on the Adopt-A-School, and for dealers to get involved, like you said, making donations with a blueprint, and to have a consistent cadence with these schools so that these kids do know what a dynamic career path we have. And even more so now than ever with all the technology, this is, to me, the place to be.
Yeah, the industry is changing now. ASE Foundation, it's always kind of easy to get those things mixed up. So can you just talk about the differences between the two organizations?
Sure. ASE, actually we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, and NADA was one of the founding partners along with MVMA and some of the other organizations back in the 70s. Jack Pohanka and some other names that would be familiar to folks. Got together and said, we really don't want the government to come in and start technician licensure. We think we can do a better job of identifying technician competence and identifying where technicians need to upskill if we do it ourselves as an industry. So ASE was formed as a nonprofit organization driven by the industry, and today we're doing the same thing, but we started with 4 tests, and today we have over 50 different tests from entry level all the way up to advanced level for technicians to demonstrate that they know how to address modern vehicles. So that's on the professional journeyman technician side. And then a few years later, a separate group of folks said, we've got too many high schools and college programs that are just hobby shops, where you got an instructor and they're teaching outdated technology. Maybe they're still teaching carburetors. They're teaching small engines. That's not what we need if we want to hire people to come into our industry. So what was then called NATEF was born to provide accreditation standards for the schools. So again, the industry got together and said, here's what you need to teach to bring students that are ready to go to work in our industry, and here are the tools and equipment, and here's how you have a local advisory committee that'll hold you accountable, that makes sure you're doing it right. So we work with 2,300 different high school and college programs all across the country, all 50 states, and we impact over 120,000 students every year. So our reach is very large, but I'll tell you, we have a national problem with a local solution. I can set national standards and the schools can adopt them, but unless you show up to support that school and show those students that career path, bring them in for job shadows and shop tours in your shop, they won't know what great opportunities we have. And by the way, we're not competing with the aftermarket, and we're not competing with the chain stores. We're competing with wind power, with advanced machining, with welding, with HVAC, all these other skilled trades. A student that knows how to use some tools and knows how to use a voltmeter, they can get a job in a heartbeat. And I promise you, it won't be in our industry unless we show them what the great opportunities are.
These are STEM careers. So this is the way you talk the educator's language. These are STEM careers. And we have got to show, nobody is going to tell our story better than we tell it. But we've got to get out there and tell it. We have to tell our story. The NADAfoundation.org website will help you do that. This Adopt-A-School program will help us do that. So I encourage you all, tell the story of dynamic careers in the automotive industry.
Off stage, we were having a discussion about electrification and what that looks like for technicians. You talked about STEM education. Mike, can you just talk about how the curriculum is changing at different schools? I know, again, there's no like centralized thing, but just talk about the changes in curriculum to address all these new needs.
So our perception is right now that it's the ATECs that are doing the work on the EVs that are in the shop today. But we know that over time, whether it's you're working on the electric powertrain or you're just doing routine service on a vehicle that's an EV, you need to be aware of more than, oh, there's an orange wire, I better be careful. There's more to it than that. And so we're working on standards that will allow us to have assessments and support training for everybody in the store, from the porter to the service writer to the technician, and also then all the students at the high school and college level, so that they have that basic understanding of EVs. But then the question becomes, at what point do we phase out teaching somebody the 4-stroke cycle and just go to 100% teaching EV or teaching anything beyond that basic safety? And so we're still trying to figure out what's that inflection point, and what's the right time to introduce that. Certainly it feels like it's not too early to get started, at least introducing the basics of safety. And then the other thing, of course, that is the pervasive hardware that's driving all this, right, is all these networks. So if you understand networks and how to diagnose networks, because that's going to be in all of your gas-powered cars, that's going to be in all of your EVs, and that's going to be, I think, a big service element for the technicians of the future. So we're really focused on teaching students how to use that diagnostic procedure, understand networking, and then high voltage brings with it more complexity. ASE brings with it more complexity, and bringing students up to speed with that, while we still continue to teach gasoline engines, traditional suspension, brakes, steering, electrical, 12-volt systems, because 280 million vehicles on the road, those aren't going away anytime soon. We're going to continue to need technicians to service those. So it's a transition, just like it's a transition in your business, we're going to see a transition in the educational process. We're going to be there, but we're driven by industry. It's what y'all folks tell us, here's what we need. So we need your involvement, and we need to take the industry's providing the lead, and we'll provide the support for that.
All the more reason to get involved locally with the college. You're a Ford dealer, Annette. Great EV product coming out. I mean, you got the Mach-E, the Lightning, of course.
Yes.
What does it look like on the ground to be kind of looking ahead at the servicing and maintenance of EVs at your dealership, and then like coming around to get your men and women trained to be able to service those vehicles?
I think, just like Mike said, safety. I mean, we've all agreed we have a shortage of technicians, so safety's of utmost consideration in the dealership, and we've got to. Our guys have to know how to handle these vehicles. They're excited. My technicians are excited about the electric vehicles and what that brings for them. And like you, I always say that's the smartest people in my store. Is everybody that's back there in the shop working on our vehicles, and they take care of our customers, and they're excited about this technology, and they gravitate toward everything we can provide them for it.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that, and this is part of telling the story, right, is it's not a low-tech, greasy, grungy, dirty. I mean, boy, take a tour of the local dealership, and if you don't take the parents and the students on a tour, how are they going to know? So get them on a tour, bring the whole class down, have the job shadowing opportunities. Students begin to find out, hey, this is cool, this is a high-tech career. And I had to laugh when you said the guys back there,
Yeah.
because
We need to change that.
Guys. Yeah, we
We
need more
need
than
to change
guys.
that.
Right now, it's 50% of the workforce is female. 2% of the service technicians are female. Is there a mismatch there? If you include the rest of the store, the statistics I saw from the BLS, it's 9%. 9% of your employees, on average, are female, and 50% of the workforce is female. We're basically bypassing half of the potential workers that we could have coming in and filling all of these different positions. So we're going to be intentional about opening up more opportunities for women, for underserved minorities, to make these opportunities, these job opportunities available to a lot more people because we need them all.
Speaking of that, in our communities, if yours are probably like mine, a lot of these kids that are disadvantaged, they don't want to leave home. They like being close to home. They like being close to family. They don't know what a gold mine exists for a career for them right there in their hometown. They don't know it unless we go and we tell that story and we encourage them to learn more about it because it's a perfect fit for them. They want to stay right there. They want to be close to family. When they come to work for us, they can own a home. They can buy a car. They can contribute to the community. And it just raises the whole.
And they can do it all without 4 years worth of student debt.
Exactly.
So we talked a little bit about the competition of recruiting technicians because there's so much demand for skilled labor outside of the industry. So Annette has to, compete against the oil wells in West Texas. But there's also, ASE doesn't just, there are dealer members of it, but you kind of represent the whole, the kind of the whole ecosystem surrounding service. So if dealers aren't taking the lead at their community colleges, someone else is.
That's true, yes. On that advisory committee, somebody's sitting in that chair. So it might be the local Napa store owner, it might be the local Firestone dealer, it might be the local independent repair shop, or it might be the competing dealer down the street. And frankly, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're not the one that's connecting with and bringing those students to work for you. So it's a bird's nest on the ground, as I like to say. The opportunity is wide open. I've yet to see a school say, oh no, we've got all the support we need. They will welcome your involvement and support.
We identified at our community college that they weren't spending the money, the college wasn't spending the money in automotive that it needed to spend. And we advocated as a dealer, all the dealers in our community, we went together, we put the wish list together, we started helping them get equipment, get vehicles, going to the leadership of the college, new floor, new lifts. Guess what? The program's overflowing.
Oh, that's great.
So that's where the involvement, because they weren't, and they're still not cranking out enough we But like I told them, I said, if I drive by this building, I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to learn from this building. We've got a better sign, little things on the outside, make them want to come into that program.
We spoke a little bit about diversity. There are going to be some changes at ASE with regard to being able to take the testing in different languages. Has that been decided, or I know you guys are looking into that?
So right now, the automotive test series, A1 through A8, the traditional 8 auto tests are available in English and Spanish. Bilingual, we're looking at adding more tests to the Spanish slate. We also offer a app on your phone you can recertify in a lot of tests without having to leave the shop and go to a parametric test center and get patted down like you're going through the airport security. So folks that have tried the app really like that, so I encourage people to check that out too. We're trying to make it as convenient as possible, but it also still drives continuous learning and continuous training.
So I'm a dealer in Kansas City. I'm watching online. How do I find out more about the Adopt-A-School program?
So limber up your fingers, www.aseeducationfoundation.org. And then there's buttons at the top, happily. Find a program. You can put in your zip code and find all the schools in your area. College and high school, you can sort any which way you want to. And Adopt-A-School. And when you click on that, it'll put you on a landing page that basically makes the argument, why should you get involved with your local school? And there's a little form there. And I promise you, I'm not going to spam you or load up your inbox. Basically, we just want to know who's showing some interest so that we can follow up with you later and make sure that you're getting connected with a local school. Or if you need help, we've got field managers around the country that'll help you get there. So, but once you put in your name and where you are and hit submit, bingo, you've got full access to the toolkit, all the tools, all the downloads. It's all free, and you're welcome, and I hope everybody takes advantage of it.
Excellent. Mike Coley and Ed Sikora, thank you guys so much for joining today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.